The wind moves like memory across the open savannah, brushing the golden grass in long, whispering waves. In this land where heat dances above the soil and time is measured in scars, a story is being written not in ink, but in claw marks, roars, and blood. This is lion country, a world ruled by power, lineage, and the brutal rhythm of survival. At the edge of a dried riverbed, where parched trees lean like ancient sentinels, 3 young males walk shoulder to shoulder. Their manes are not yet full, but the promise of dominance burns in their amber eyes. They are brothers, born of the same mother, suckled from the same womb of struggle. Together they are bound by more than just blood. They are a coalition, a force of nature molded in bone and instinct. Their pride, now behind them, rests in the hills, a territory once dominated by their father, now slowly crumbling in the hands of age. The old king lies beneath an acacia tree, his mane streaked with gray, his breath shallow. His sons, the rising generation, sense the shift. Nature does not wait. The throne of the wild is never inherited. It must be taken. The brothers, Koa, Razi, and Malik, have lived side by side since birth. Koa, the eldest, bears a deep scar across his shoulder, a mark from an early fight that he won with sheer will. Razi, the middle brother, is leaner, quieter, always watching, the observer. Malik, the youngest, walks with reckless pride, his mane darker than the others, his movements sharp with ambition. Together they hunt, sleep, and roar into the night sky as one. The coalition is their power, a brotherhood stronger than any pride. In the wild, lion coalitions are forged in blood and survival. Only united can males take control of a pride, defend territory, and leave behind a legacy through cubs sired and enemies defeated. Yet the bond of brothers is a delicate thread. Beneath the surface of their unity, something brews, a tension that no roar can silence. The wild does not allow for equals for long. The ecosystem around them is a patchwork of contradiction, beauty and brutality sharing the same breath. Towering giraffes browse calmly in the morning haze, their necks rising above the mist like walking trees. In the distance, a herd of buffalo grumbles near the watering hole, their eyes always scanning the bush. Danger never sleeps in the savannah. Here, every predator competes for advantage. Lions must contend not only with rival coalitions but with cunning hyenas, silent leopards, and the unrelenting tick of hunger. Each dry season tightens the noose around all life. The rains retreat, the rivers shrink, and the scent of death thickens the air. It was during such a season that the brothers tasted their first kill without their mother. A wildebeest, too old to keep up with the herd, brought down with synchronized fury. Blood soaked their faces as they fed side by side. That night the moon rose full and red, and the bond between them felt immortal. But time reveals what hunger conceals. One day, while tracking a herd of zebra near the Baobab Plains, the brothers encounter a rival, an old nomad, alone but not weak. His mane is patchy, his body lean from exile, yet his eyes are fire. He growls a challenge, more out of pride than strategy. The brothers hesitate. They could kill him, 3 against 1, but they do not. Koa steps forward and lets him retreat, his tail held high. Malik watches with contempt, confused by his brother's mercy. Later that night, under a bruised purple sky, the silence between the brothers is heavy. He was weak, Malik growls. We should have ended him. Koa stares into the darkness. He was defeated already. There's no honor in killing ghosts. Razi remains silent as always, reading the wind, watching the space between his brothers grow. A week later, they return to the heart of their territory. The pride has shifted. The old king is gone. His body was found near the riverbank, vultures already circling. Their mother stands atop a termite mound, her eyes weary but dry. She knew this day would come. Koa touches his nose to her face, a gesture of respect. Razi follows. Malik stands back, looking at the cubs that now belong to them. The females of the Pride watch with cautious eyes. The takeover is complete yet unspoken. Nature does not pause to acknowledge transition. The crown of the savannah is invisible, but heavy all the same. With the Pride under their rule, the brothers enter a new phase of power. The nights fill with their roars, declarations of strength sent out across the wind. Yet, it is in these moments and at the summit of glory that the shadows of betrayal begin to form. The first tension surfaces over a female, Luma, young, strong, fertile. She enters estrus, and instinct drives the brothers to circle her like moths around a pau. Flame. Koa asserts dominance, growling low as Razi backs away. Malik does not. He stays, his muscles taut, eyes locked with Koa's. The standoff ends without blood, but not without memory. That night, Malik sleeps away from the others. His breath, when he finally drifts off, is shallow, restless. In his dreams, he stands, alone atop the hill, mane whipping in the wind, the only roar echoing across the plains. Elsewhere, far beyond their territory, other coalitions gather. Rogues, driven out of old prides, scarred by battles, are moving. The savannah is in flux. The dry season bites deeper. Prey vanishes into the thickets or dies of thirst. And with each sunrise, the balance tilts. Resources shrink. Tempers rise. One morning, the brothers find a dead lion at the border of their land. A young nomad, unfamiliar, ribs visible, neck broken. Not their kill, not their problem. But the message is clear. Others are near. The coalition must stand united, but unity is no longer instinctual. It requires effort. Later, during a hunt, a mistake is made. The Pride goes after a herd of buffalo. Koa signals for patience. Malik charges. Early, the buffalo scatter. A lioness is gored. She dies before nightfall. The Pride mourns in silence. Koa's fury is barely restrained. "You cost us a mother," he growls, his face inches from Malik's. "She was too slow," Malik spits. "If we wait every time, we starve." Razi steps between them, his body rigid. No words, just presence. It's enough, for now. As the sun sets that evening, casting long orange shadows across the savannah, the brothers sit on a rise overlooking their land. Koa sits tall, a silhouette of strength. Razi, quiet and thoughtful, watches the horizon. Malik, brooding, traces the line of their territory with his eyes. Below them, the Pride eats. Cubs tug at bones. Lionesses groom under the stars. The kingdom is theirs, but peace is not. In the distance, thunder rolls, not from the clouds, but from hooves and approaching conflict. The wild shifts once again, and somewhere deep in the soil, betrayal begins to bloom like a thorned flower. The war has not yet begun, but its seeds have been sown. Dawn spills like gold across the horizon, a delicate glow lighting the tall grasses and casting long shadows behind the acacia trees. In this fleeting calm, before the savannah awakens in chaos, the Lion brothers stand united. Silhouetted against the amber sky, their outlines form a single image of raw rising power. The era of their father has ended. A new reign has begun. Their coalition, forged in youth, now rules with maturity. Koa, Razi, and Malik, sons of the same mother born into dust and fire, have claimed the pride as their own. With the old king's bones buried under time, they emerge as lords of the land, sovereigns of a realm carved not by birthright, but by survival. The pride flourishes under their protection. The lionesses hunt together with practiced precision, and their cubs, now sired by the brothers, roam freely beneath the thorn trees. The territory expands like breath into the surrounding plains. From the rocky kopjes to the shallow river bends, their scent marks every corner. Their roars dominate the night, rolling across the dark like thunderous hymns of authority. But beneath the success, the ground shifts, slowly, silently. Koa grows into a king admired by lionesses and feared by rivals. His presence is undeniable. His mane darkens with age, and his shoulders carry the calm strength of leadership. He shares power generously, trusting the bond between him and his brothers. To him, they are not competitors, they are extensions of himself. Razi remains the watchful one. His silence is no weakness. Instead, it shields a mind honed to patterns, to the subtle details of pride politics, prey movement, and the dangers beyond the horizon. He is the diplomat between fire and storm, and Malik, wild, proud Malik, becomes a symbol of aggression. He grows faster than the others. His muscles ripple under his golden coat, and his eyes never stop searching. He patrols further, roars louder, and mates often. His ambition no longer hides beneath the surface. It snarls at dusk and broods by moonlight. One evening, while the brothers rest beneath a cluster of thorn bushes, Malik speaks without pretense. "We rule well now, but why settle here? This land is good, but there are richer lands beyond the northern ridge. More herds, more prides." Koa opens his eyes slowly. "What we have is enough. For you," Malik snaps. "But I want more." Razi glances between them. His silence this time carries unease. Beyond their borders, other coalitions stir. Young nomads, hungry and hardened by exile, follow the zebra trails and whisper of the three brothers. Lions who rule with equal might are rare. But in every alliance, time works against unity. Pride is not just a social force, and it is a curse if left unchecked. In the north, a coalition of 4 nomads begins to test the periphery. Their roars echo at night, faint but growing bolder. Vultures circle where carcasses are found half-eaten. The scent of blood carries warnings. Conflict is coming. To the east, a lone rogue lion enters the brothers' land. Scarred and desperate, he steals a kill from a young lioness. Malik finds him. There is no mercy. The rogue's body is left to rot, a statement scrawled in gore across the savannah. But Koa is not pleased. "You could have driven him out." "He crossed our line," Malik snarls. "He got what he deserved." "But did he threaten us?" Koa asks, his tone edged with judgment. Razi watches again, watching everything, understanding what isn't said. As weeks pass, the wet season returns. The earth breathes again. Grass turns green beneath the hooves of returning herbivores. Wildebeest, zebra and impala fill the plains. Life hums. The pride grows stronger, healthier. Cubs play with reckless innocence, leaping through flowers as if death were only a myth. Yet this peace only masks what ferments below. One night, under a canopy of stars, Koa and Razi return from a border patrol. They find Malik alone with one of the lionesses, Nira, fierce and loyal, and also Koa's favored mate. She paces nervously when the others arrive. Koa approaches, his tail flicking slowly behind him. Malik meets his gaze, unblinking. "She came to me," he says. Koa says, nothing. The silence between them could shatter bone. Later that night, Razi tries to speak with Koa. He's still your brother. Koa's voice is low. He's testing me, not as kin, as a rival. And if he pushes again, Koa's eyes narrow. Then we'll see how much of a brother he really is. Razi tries to hold the peace. He walks between his brothers like a ghost, softening words, dispersing tension with glances and timing. But the cracks deepen. Decisions once made together now become arguments. Patrols are skipped. Hunts go awry. Trust is no longer a certainty. Even among the lionesses, whispers grow. Some speak in low tones of Malik's strength, his unrelenting will. Others fear his temper. The pride, once a single breath, begins to fracture into small silences, half glances, uneasy roars. Then the Northern Coalition strikes. They come in the early hours before dawn, 4 nomads moving through the mist. Like specters, they attack a far border, not the heart, but the edge. They kill a subadult male. The brothers respond with fury. The counterattack is swift. Koa leads the charge. Blood spills across the yellow earth as the brothers drive the nomads back, their roars splitting the morning fog. One nomad is badly wounded. The others flee north, bleeding and snarling. Victory belongs to the brothers, but so does the price. During the skirmish, Koa takes a blow to his front leg. A deep bite tears through muscle and tendon. He limps back to the pride, blood trailing behind him. The injury slows him. And in the eyes of predators, weakness is not a condition. It is an opportunity. Malik sees it. He says nothing for days, but his patrols increase. His roars deepen. He walks taller. When Koa attempts to mount a lioness, Malik blocks him. A growl becomes a clash. Teeth flash. The pride watches in stunned silence. It ends quickly, not in blood, but in dominance. Malik doesn't fight fully. He doesn't have to. Koa backs off, pain in his leg too great. But the message is clear. The balance has shifted. Razi confronts Malik beneath the shadow of a fig tree. "What are you doing?" Malik's voice is calm, calculated. "What we were born to do. Rise." At his expense, Malik turns away. He had his time. Nature doesn't honor the past, only the future. The pride changes again. Lionesses begin following Malik on hunts. Cubs no longer run first to Koa when danger looms. Razi tries to hold the fragments, but pride is not something that can be stitched back together once torn. The bond of brotherhood, once a lifeline, now feels like a noose. And then, it happens. Malik stops returning to shared patrols. He begins scent-marking territory on his own. Separate trails, separate roars, separate nights. He no longer acts like a brother. He acts like a king. One morning, Razi walks the ridge alone. Below him, the pride sleeps scattered, the sun just beginning to rise over the eastern hills. His heart aches with the weight of what they've become. The unity of the brothers, once their greatest strength, has decayed into rivalry. 3 lions, once born from the same womb, now walk separate paths. One limps with honor, one roams with ambition, and one tries vainly to hold the line between them. The rise of the brothers is nearly complete, but the fall is just beginning. The land bears the wounds of kings. Trees stand stripped along the borders, bark clawed off where pride males have marked their rule. Bones bleach beneath the sun, scattered from old battles long forgotten by most. But lions remember. The ground remembers. And now, The kingdom once united under 3 brothers begins to split, not by war, but by will. Malik no longer shares the pride's core. He keeps to the outer edges, claiming lionesses that wander, patrolling the territory as if it belongs to him alone. His roars sound different now, longer, more defiant, less like a coalition call and more like a challenge. Each echo through the hills speaks not of unity but ambition. Koa watches from the heart of the pride, nursing a wound that won't heal, both in leg and spirit. The injury from the northern skirmish has faded, but the limp remains, and with it, the slow erosion of his reign. Cubs that once played near his flank now run when Malik appears. Even Nira, his longtime mate, avoids his gaze. Only Razi remains by his side, loyal as ever. But loyalty has limits, and even Razi knows that the world beyond their pride is watching. Opportunists are never far. Vultures aren't the only ones that circle weakness. Malik is not content with whispers of power. He makes them roar. He begins courting the lionesses more openly, not with force, but confidence. He leads hunts that succeed. He positions himself in the center of kill sites. He mates openly, frequently, asserting his dominance not through direct confrontation, but through visibility. Koa does not respond. He cannot. One day, when the pride takes down a wildebeest at the river's edge, Malik arrives after the kill and drives Koa off the carcass. No growl, no fight. Koa stands tall, but his limp betrays him. The pride watches. No one intervenes. The balance has tipped. In private, Koa speaks to Razi. He means to dethrone me. He's already doing it. Then I must fight him. Razi shakes his head. You'll lose. Then I'll die a king. But even those words don't hold the weight they once did. The fire in Koa's eyes dims. Each day Malik grows bolder. The pride senses it. Even the cubs can feel the change in the wind. And then the final fracture comes not with blood but with silence. Malik leads half the lionesses away. No warning. No farewell. One morning, they're simply gone. Malik, 3 lionesses, and 2 sub-adult males. They cross the ridge toward the western plains, a lush land bordered by low cliffs and frequent buffalo herds. Malik has chosen exile, not as punishment, but as conquest. A new kingdom, a splinter of the old one. Razi finds their scent trail later that day. He follows it alone, cresting the rocky slope that divides their land. Below, in the fading sunlight, Malik stands on a boulder, surrounded by his followers. His silhouette is majestic, unyielding. He sees Razi. Their eyes lock across the distance. Malik nods once. Razi does not return the gesture. He turns away. Back at the heart of the pride, the remaining lionesses gather near the river. Tensions run through them like wind through grass. Without Malik, the pride is quieter, but unsure. The loss of strength, of numbers, is deeply felt. Koa remains, now the sole ruler in name, but not in certainty. He moves less, watches more. His mane, once the darkest, begins to fade at the edges with age. He speaks little, roars less, and for the first time in years his territory is vulnerable. Razi urges him to regroup, to reassert dominance through visibility. But Koa refuses to chase shadows. He believes Malik will return not in peace but in challenge. And when he does, he wants to be ready. But ready for what? A war between brothers? Malik's new territory thrives. The western plains provide plentiful prey. His lionesses adapt quickly. His cubs grow strong. He trains the young males with aggression, pushing them to dominate their peers. The coalition he once helped build is now his own mirror, reflected, distorted, and sharpened. Still, something lingers in Malik's heart, a thorn of memory, the unity they once shared, the laughter beneath starlit nights, the hunts that ended with roars of triumph, all three brothers drenched in the blood of survival, not betrayal. But ambition rarely leaves room for nostalgia. Storms roll in from the south, the skies turn gunmetal gray, lightning forks across the horizon, and the rains return with fury. Rivers swell, mud replaces dust. The landscape transforms into a slippery battlefield of uncertainty, and as the land churns, so do the fates of the brothers. One evening, Razi finds fresh scent marks near the eastern border. Another lion, not Malik, not from the northern coalition either, a new rogue, younger, unfamiliar. Koa listens, eyes narrowed. The vultures circle. It's not just us anymore, Razi says. Others smell the fracture. Koa nods. Then we must mend it, or we'll be picked apart. But Malik has no interest in return. His pride thrives, and his legacy begins to take root. Yet his rest is uneasy. In dreams, he sees Koa's eyes, disappointed, unwavering. He hears their father's roar, distant, reminding him of what strength truly meant. Not dominance, but unity. Still, he wakes with clarity. He has made his choice. And so the savannah holds its breath. Two kingdoms now exist where one once stood. One, ruled by a wounded king who clings to duty. One by a restless usurper who chases glory. Razi walks between them still, unsure of where he belongs. He loves them both, fears them both, and knows that soon, blood may decide what memory and brotherhood could not. Because in the world of lions, betrayal is not always born of hatred. Sometimes, it is born of the unbearable burden of survival. As the rains begin to fade, the plains bloom again. Flowers open in defiance of death. Herds migrate in full force, bringing opportunity and danger. And somewhere beneath the golden light, the roar of Malik echoes across the land. A call not just to his pride, but to his brother. Not an invitation, but a declaration. The time of peace has ended. Now the kingdoms will be carved in claws. The sun rises with fire in its breath. Shadows stretch across the open plains like fingers reaching for the past, clawing at memories not yet buried. The winds whisper old names, Koa, Malik, Razi, and carry the scent of destiny through the withering grasses. It is not a morning of peace. It is the calm before reckoning. For months, Malik and Koa have ruled separate worlds, brothers bound by blood but divided by ambition. Yet no wall stands strong forever. Nature hates division. It seeks to reunite what has been broken, violently, if necessary. And now the savannah bends beneath the weight of what is coming. It begins not with roars but with silence. Razi spots the intruders first. Three young males, lean and confident, crossing into the outskirts of Koa's territory. They are not part of Malik's pride, nor the northern rivals. These are opportunists, wanderers drawn by the scent of a divided kingdom. They test the borders, with patience. At night they call low and long. Not challenges, not yet. Probes, teases. The first note of a war song yet to rise. Koa answers once, but the roar lacks its old thunder. The lionesses hear it. So do the cubs. Razi's gaze lingers on his brother as he speaks softly. They sense your weakness. Koa replies, then let them come. But deep in his heart, he fears the truth. His time is running out. His body betrays him more each day, and his kingdom, split and bleeding, can no longer wait. Malik hears the whispers too. A lone hyena, injured and starved, stumbles near his pride's kill one dusk. Malik watches the scavenger with cold detachment, then lets it go. Some in his pride murmur confusion. Why not chase it down? Kill it? But Malik knows. Hyenas are messengers of change. Their presence precedes death. He walks the perimeter that night, gaze fixed toward the east, toward his brother, toward the land he once ruled beside Koa, toward everything he left behind. Razi's scent is faint along the rocks, a quiet reminder. Malik does not sleep that night. The storm breaks with fang and fury. One morning, as the sun crests the hills, the three rogue males cross fully into Koa's territory. They roar now, defiant, sharp, young. Not to challenge a coalition, but to pick apart what's left of one. They find a lioness with cubs near the riverbank. Koa and Razi arrive too late. The cubs lie silent. The lioness flees, bloodied and broken in spirit. The intruders vanish into the reeds. Koa roars until his throat burns. Razi does not stop him. They both know what this means. The pride is no longer safe. Word spreads like wildfire. Across the western ridge, lionesses whisper of the attack. Malik listens with narrowed eyes, his mane catching the morning light like a warrior's crown. They've breached Koa's land, one lioness says. And killed his cubs, says another. Malik remains still. He says nothing. Later that day, he climbs the highest rock overlooking his domain. Beneath him, his lionesses rest. His cubs play, unaware. And far on the horizon, just barely visible, dust swirls over the eastern plains. He closes his eyes. In his chest, the weight of blood calls him. Razi finds Malik that evening. They meet at the old baobab tree, once a shared landmark, now a no-man's land between two fractured dynasties. The air is thick with tension, as if the grass itself holds its breath. He needs you, Razi says. Malik doesn't look at him. He had me. He cast me aside. He was scared, but he's still your brother. Malik snorts. No. He's a fading king clinging to a throne made of sand. And yet, Razi whispers, you still watch the horizon every morning. Silence. Then Malik turns, eyes burning. If I return to rule. Razi shakes his head. If you return, like that, you return as his killer. That night the sky splits open with lightning. Across the savannah, lion calls ripple through the darkness. Koa stands atop a ridge, mane soaked in storm rain, eyes fixed westward. Beneath his paws, the land trembles, not with fear, but with decision. He knows he cannot stand alone. He must choose to surrender the crown or defend it with all he has left. And he chooses war. The pride fractures again, this time in spirit. Some lionesses question his strength. Others remain fiercely loyal. The cubs, confused and wide-eyed, cling to their mothers as the tension grows. Razi tries to rally them to keep order, but deep down, he fears that Koa's final stand may not save them. It may doom them all. Malik does not sleep. He paces, roars, waits, until one morning at the break of dawn he makes his choice. He returns, not alone. Two of his strongest lionesses follow. So do the young males he raised in exile. They cross the plains in silence, their silhouettes long and noble beneath the rising sun. And on the far hill, Koa watches them come. No fear, no words, just readiness. The brothers meet near the center of The pride's territory, surrounded by dry grass, bones of old kills, and lionesses frozen in fear. Malik steps forward. Koa does the same. The air vibrates with history, with betrayal, with love. They stare into each other's eyes. Two kings born of the same blood, now poised to shed it. Malik speaks first. "This is not what I wanted," Koa answers, "but it is what you chose. You left me no place to rise. You left me no choice but to fall." And with that, the battle begins. It is not a graceful fight. It is brutal, loud, real. Claws slash, teeth tear. Dust rises and blood splatters the earth. The pride watches in horror, unable to intervene. These are not strangers. These are not outsiders. These are brothers. Their roars echo across the valley, sending birds flying and hyenas retreating. The sky turns gray again, the earth trembling beneath their fury. Koa, despite his limp, fights with the fire of memory, of legacy. Malik, younger and stronger, fights with the fire of purpose, of ambition. And for a long, brutal stretch of time, they are evenly matched, but strength fades, and old wounds reopen. Koa stumbles. Malik sees the opening. He hesitates. And in that moment, Razi leaps between them. "No more," he roars, body bloodied, eyes wild. He knocks Malik back, claws drawn, mane flaring with rage. This ends now. Silence falls like a blanket. Malik backs away, panting. Koa, bleeding heavily, lowers himself to the ground. Razi stands over them both, chest heaving. "This is not what our father built." Malik stares at the ground. "He built nothing, he only survived." "No," Razi says. "He built us." And then, slowly, Malik turns away. He walks into the grass, the wind catching his mane like fire. His lionesses follow. He doesn't look. Back Koa remains on the ground, eyes closed. The lionesses surround him. They clean his wounds. Nira lays beside him in silence. Razi sits a few feet away, watching the horizon. The sun sets, casting long shadows over the fractured pride. Tomorrow, they will count the cost. But tonight, the savannah sleeps in uneasy peace. Not because victory has been claimed, but because for a moment the blood in the dust has cooled. Morning arrives slow and solemn, wrapped in a veil of golden mist. Dew clings to the blades of brittle grass like tears the land cannot hold back. The savannah exhales gently, weary after a night that broke more than just silence. It broke history. Koa lies beneath the acacia, his breath shallow, his mane tangled with dust and blood. Around him, lionesses move softly. They do not speak. They do not weep. They wait for a sign, a shift, a flicker of the old king's flame. But time is no longer his ally. The pride is still here. Malik is not. And the burden of what remains now falls upon the lion who stayed. Razi sits at the river's edge, staring at the slow trickle of water that winds between smooth stones. The same river he used to cross with Koa and Malik when they were cubs, chasing dragonflies and nipping at each other's tails. He remembers the old days, before ambition carved lines between their hearts, before they thought of thrones or bloodlines. Just three brothers breathing the wild, eyes filled with sky. Now only one remains unbroken, and the cost of unity once lost may never be fully repaid. By midday, the lionesses gather. Nira steps forward, first, eyes tired but clear. "We cannot stay scattered," she says. "Not now, not after this." The others nod. The cubs gather near their mothers, instinctively sensing the change in air, the shift in gravity. The pride has survived attack, betrayal, and war. What it needs now is not just leadership, but healing. And Koa, though wounded, lifts his head. His voice is a rasp, but it still carries the weight of a king. Razi, he says, and nothing more. It is not a coronation. There is no ceremony in the wild. No crown to place, no throne to mount. Only acceptance. Trust. The quiet passing of invisible flame from one heart to another. Razi walks slowly into the center of the pride. He does not roar. He does not need to. The lionesses bow their heads. The cubs sit still. Even the wind seems to still itself for a moment. Koa closes his eyes again. The kingdom is his no more. Across the plain, miles away, Malik walks alone. He does not return to the pride he left. He finds solitude in the northern dunes, among twisted thorn trees and open silence. His lionesses follow at a distance, wary. They do not understand the fire in his eyes has dulled, that whatever victory he imagined never came. In choosing not to kill, he lost something more difficult to name. Power does not always belong to the strongest. Sometimes, it belongs to the lion who chooses not to take. The days stretch onward. Under Razi's watch, the pride begins to heal. He is not the fighter Koa was, nor the strategist Malik became. But he is something rarer, a listener, a guardian. A lion who sees not just prey and power, but spirit. He walks the boundaries at dawn, scent marks afresh, and calls low and deep, not to challenge, but to declare presence. That the pride stands, that they have not fallen. Under his guidance, the lionesses hunt better. The cubs grow bold again. Even the birds return to nest in the trees where none dared sing during the war. The land responds to balance, and for a while, the savannah breathes easier. Koa remains close but distant. He no longer joins the hunts. His roars are fewer, quieter, trailing into the sky like old smoke. But the lionesses still nuzzle him. The cubs still curl at his side. They remember who he was, who he became. He is not forgotten. He is the lion who stood against the world until his legs gave out. He is the lion who trusted his brother when no one else would. One evening, as the sun dies behind a stormy ridge, Koa calls for Razi. They sit together beneath the baobab tree, their father's tree, their old meeting ground, their silent witness. Koa's mane has thinned, his eyes are cloudier, but when he speaks, his voice still carries iron. "I feared you'd never return," Razi replies. "I feared the same of you." Koa chuckles, coughs, then leans back. "You were always the quiet one, the one no one expected to lead." Maybe that's why I had to. They watched the sky turn purple above them, stars blinking to life like old ancestors lighting their fires. "Do you think he'd be proud?" Koa asks. "Our father?" "Yes," Razi thinks. "I think he'd be proud that we're still here." The following weeks pass in rhythms older than language. Rain returns in brief, cleansing bursts. Wildebeest herds roam closer. Zebras flick, their tails by the watering holes. Life resumes its uncertain beauty, but the savannah never forgets. Every footprint carries memory. Every roar echoes old pain. Still, under Razi's rule, the pride begins to grow again. New cubs are born. New alliances form at the edges of the land. Razi even meets with neighboring males not in battle, but in understanding. To draw lines, to share water, to coexist. He does not seek glory. He seeks peace. And somehow, in that quiet ambition, he becomes the most dangerous kind of ruler. A wise one. Malik is seen again only once. A lone lioness spots him at dusk, standing, On a far ridge looking down at the old Pride lands, his mane glows red in the light. He doesn't come closer, doesn't roar. He just watches, then vanishes into the long grass like a ghost fading into memory. Some say he wanders still. Others believe he found a new pride far north, a place untouched by old wars, a kingdom with no past. But the truth is simpler. He left so his brother could rise, and Razi never speaks ill of him. Not once. Koa passes quietly one night beneath a starlit sky. There is no struggle, no roar. Only a breath, a pause, and a final stillness. He dies with his pride around him. He dies with peace in his heart. He dies knowing the fire still burns, not in him, but in the lion who remained. When Razi roars the next morning, the land answers. It is not a roar of grief. It is a roar of gratitude for the brother who fought, for the brother who fell, for the pride that endured, and for the new chapter to come. As the seasons shift, Razi's pride grows stronger. They hunt together beneath silver moons. They raise cubs beside flowering acacias. They mark the land with pride, not in war, but in unity. And on some quiet nights when the wind is just right, the cubs say they can hear old Koa's roar rolling across the plains, not in warning, not in rage, but in remembrance. This is the story the savannah carries in its roots, a tale not of conquest, but of loss, love, and the cost of brotherhood. And when the lionesses gather under the stars, their cubs ask of the kings who came before, the lion who fought, the lion who left, and the lion who remained. Razi smiles and tells them everything. The sky is wide and endless once again, stretching in hues of amber and violet across the savannah. Rain has returned, and with it, life flows anew. Grasslands ripen, rivers swell, and herds gather like pilgrims to sacred ground. The dry bones of war have settled into dust, buried beneath the pulse of a pride that has refused to die. Razi walks alone in the morning light, not to patrol, but to remember. Each step he takes is measured, deliberate, as though the earth beneath him carries stories he must not forget. This land is no longer just territory. It is sacred text, written in claw marks, blood trails, and the soft cries of newborn cubs. A living monument to everything they endured and everything they lost. Near the base of the old ridge where Koa made his final stand, Razi stops. A single fig tree grows there now, its roots sunk deep where his brother once bled. He sits beneath it, the sun brushing his golden fur, and speaks into the wind, not loudly, but with reverence. They still talk about you. In the you, quiet that follows, a distant roar echoes across the plains. Not his, not any lion near, just memory. A sound caught between time and space, an echo of the fallen. Back at the heart of the pride, things have changed. Nira has taken a leading role. Among the lionesses, strong and steady, she leads hunts with fierce precision and watches over the cubs like a living flame. Her strength does not come from dominance, but from devotion. The younger lionesses, some barely grown themselves, mimic her movements, learn her quiet strategies, follow her guidance. This is how power transfers in the wild, not through force, but through wisdom shared. Razi has become a lion of patience. He no longer lunges into every fight, no longer marks every roar with fury. Instead, he watches. He listens. He chooses when to act with a tactician's grace and a father's heart. He is not feared. He is respected. That difference makes all the difference. Occasionally, whispers reach his territory. Of Malik, now deep in the north, ruling a smaller pride, in a more hostile region. a place where prey is scarce and drought claws at the earth. His rule is said to be strong but silent. He no longer seeks to expand, he rarely fights. Some say he has grown into a myth, half ghost, half legend. Others claim they've seen him at night staring into the southern skies, as if he's waiting for the stars to write something only he can read. But Razi never pursues him. Their story is finished. The pages have turned. And not all broken things must be mended. Razi's firstborn son, Kyle, is growing fast. He runs through the plains like fire in tall grass, bold, wild, and brimming with untamed curiosity. The lionesses watch him with both amusement and caution, for they know too well what hunger for greatness can become. Razi watches from a distance, not with fear, but with understanding. He does not tell Kyle who to be. He shows him by being who he is. When Kale questions the story of the pride-scarred past, Razi does not hide the truth. He tells it fully. How his brothers clashed, how blood stained the soil, how love and rage often came wearing the same face. Kyle listens, and somewhere in his young heart, he begins to understand the weight of what he will one day inherit. Seasons pass, storms come and go, some fierce, some fleeting. The pride weathers them all. Under Razi, no territory is expanded for the sake of ambition. Instead, they defend what is necessary, retreat when wise, and grow when the time is right. It is not a reign marked by conquest. It is marked by balance. And that, in the wild, is a rarer triumph. One dry summer evening, Kale and his younger siblings gather around the edge of a hill, staring at the sun's descent. Razi joins them, his mane silvering in the light, his body bearing the soft aches of years ruled with both heart and fang. "Do you still dream of Uncle Koa?" Kyle asks suddenly. Razi nods. "Often." "What does he say?" Razi smiles faintly. He says nothing. He just looks at me as if asking, "Did you protect them? And did you?" "I try." That answer, simple and honest, is all Kale needs. As the cubs fall asleep beneath the stars, Razi rises, alone again with the wind. He lifts his head and releases a low, steady roar, not of warning, not of pride, but of remembrance. Across the savannah, lions answer, distant and scattered. Others who've heard his name, who know his reign, who recognize his voice not as a threat, but as a force of balance. A lion who stood when others fell. A lion who did not seek glory, but guardianship. The next morning, Nira finds Razi at the edge of a hill staring down into a new valley the pride has recently scouted. "You've been up all night," she says, thinking. "Of what?" "Of how close we came to vanishing." She says nothing for a while. Then softly, "We didn't." "No," Razi replies. "But that doesn't mean we won't again. Not if we forget." She nods. They both understand that memory is not just a burden, it's a duty. The fallen are not gone. They live in the choices made today. That afternoon, Kyle leads his first hunt. It is messy, disjointed. The wildebeests scatter wildly, and the lionesses bark frustrated orders. But they succeed clumsily in bringing down a young bull. As the pride eats, Razi watches silently from the ridge. Nira joins him again. He'll need guidance. "Yes," Razi replies, "and patience. Will you give it?" "As long as I can." "And when you can't?" Razi breathes deep. "Then I hope he remembers not how I ruled, but why." Years will pass. Razi's mane will fade to gray. His pace will slow. But his legacy, like that of the brothers before him, will remain, woven into the soil, the sky, the very roar of the wind. Kyle will rise, with the fire of his uncle Malik and the steadiness of his father. He will lead differently, as he must. But he will never lead alone, because every lion who ruled before him still walks beside him, in story, in spirit, in silence. This pride, forged through betrayal, loss, and forgiveness, has become something greater than power. It has become a symbol that even among the fiercest beasts there is room for grace, that blood spilled does not silence love, that not all wars end in ruin, some end in understanding. So when the cubs grow and ask again, who was Koa? Who was Malik? Who is our king now? The pride answers together. They were brothers. They were warriors. They were flawed. They were family. And above all, they were lions. The sun sets once more, golden light, blanketing the savannah in warmth. Trees cast long shadows across the grasslands, and the wind sings through them like an ancient lullaby. From somewhere deep in the land, a final roar rises. Not loud, not fierce, but full of memory. An echo of the fallen, a tribute to the pride that survived and the king who stayed.